Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It finally happened. Warhorse Studios has officially announced the open world Middle Earth RPG is now coming. It is officially in the works. They given us anything in terms of a like release date or trailer or anything like that. This is purely just an announcement, which I'm okay with this information. I'm okay with it not being this thing that is I'm okay with not getting a trailer. I'm okay with not getting any sort of release date, all that kind of stuff. I'm honestly a lot more okay with it than I think other people would be, purely because I would rather wait for it to be good. So, now, we know that Warhorse created Kingdom Come Deliverance, which I'm not going to go into too much details about that because I've honestly never played those games before, but we're going to have to dive into them knowing that we're going to get a open world Middle-earth RPG by these guys. I kind of want to get an idea as to what is to be expected. So this kind of comes off of this other announcement of Embracer is spinning off and going a little bit kind of a different direction, not anything like major, but they are doing a spin-off and having two different companies. They're making Fellowship Entertainment, which is going to be again a spin-off company that will be handling the Lord of the Rings IP. That they're the ones that hold the rights to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and they also have other groups like Aspire, which we're not going to talk. That's going to be held under the original Embracer, so we're not going to go into too much detail about that business changes. This pretty much just kind of lets us know that the Fellowship Enterprises will be overseeing the Lord of the Rings IP and numerous other game franchises that will begin trading in the full year of 2026 and will focus on game development, publishing, and licensing. So not only does this mean that we're going to be getting a Middle Earth RPG, but we could possibly be getting other games. So we've got 4A Games, Crystal Dynamics, Dambuster Studios, Dark Horse Media. There's a lot of different studios that are going to be involved. Middle Earth Enterprises, which was bought by Embracer, so that's no surprise to see that. Red Octane Games and Warhorse Studios. They're going to be working all on these new, all under this new Fellowship Entertainment. So I'm excited to kind of see what that's going to look like and what we are to be expecting for this new era of Middle Earth games. I really hope that they're good. I think we've had a lot of really good Middle Earth games, such as games like Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War, and we've had games like Tales of the Shire and Gollum that were not great. But the main thing that I did want to talk about in today's video is we have this interactive map of Middle Earth. I'm actually going to pull up the 3D version because I think the 3D version looks cooler, to be honest. And we are going to look at Middle Earth, or my thing's going to crash.
Can we have a second? They can't do a Western this time. I can prepare. I need the Bible. Jingle, jingle, jingle. Look, it's the $10 hat. What do you mean? No. Jingle, jingle, jingle. Oh man.
We are going to take a look at a map of Middle Earth that we have here. Okay, so now we're back. Thank you for bearing with us. And we're going to take a look at a map of Middle Earth and kind of see what the possibilities are for a Middle Earth game. There are a ton of areas that we can explore within a map of Middle Earth. As you might know, there are places that are fairly well known, like the Gap of Rohan region. It's got like Edoras, Helm's Deep is right here. Helm's Deep is right here. Helm's Deep, Isengard, Fangorn. You've got the region of Gondor over here, Minas Tirith, Pelennor Fields, Osgiliath, Emin Arnon, Ithilien, Caer Andros. You could go up into Emin Muil, the Dead Marshes, the Falls of Rauros, like the places that are pretty well known throughout the movies. Or you even have a lot of areas that honestly are not very well known, which is like the entire region of Eriador. I really should have just used the LOTR map for this, honestly, because there's a lot of areas within Eriador, which is the regions west of the Misty Mountains, that we haven't really seen. And the areas of Rivendell and Weathertop. You got Fornost. Bree is like right in here. Breland, yeah. So you got Bree, Combs, Archet, Staddle. You got the Chetwood, the Midgewater Marshes are right there. The Weathered Hills, or the Weather Hills, all along the Great East Road here. Um, and then like just east or a little farther west, you've got the Barrow Downs into the Old Forest, where you then have Buckland and Stock into the Shire, which the Shire is pretty well known. But then you have the areas west of the Shire. You know, you've got the Blue Mountains with Belagost and Nolgrad. These two big dwarven areas right on the cusp of Ered Luin, next to the Gulf of Loon, down into the Grey Havens, and then sailing out into the Sundered Sea, sailing west if you wanted to go all the way into Valinor, which we're not going to go all the way into Valinor. But honestly, if there's one thing I really want to see, there's the main reason I want to talk about this in this Middle Earth video is I really want to talk about the areas that are possible to have a Middle Earth game and an open world RPG based in Middle Earth that could have just a ton of different possibilities. Um, I think there's a ton of options, and so like I do want to just go over some of those possibilities. The main area, honestly, as I pull the map back up here, I'm gonna pull up a different scene to make it just a little bit easier. Where is it? There it is. That I really want to just look at is this area here. We have Angmar and Karn Doom. And I really want to see the Angmar Wars, like that kind of be the time period that we're sitting in. We're most likely going to be in the Third Age, since Embracer has the rights to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. If we're anywhere but the Third Age, I would be really shocked. But I do really, really hope that we will get the Angmar Wars and we will get to explore areas like maybe Mount Graham. We'll be able to go to like Karn Doom, because the only places that we've been in Karn Doom are Lord of the Rings War in the North. It's the last level in that game, as well as Lord of the Rings Online. There's stuff in Karn Doom there. But for the majority of any other Tolkien media, we never see Angmar. But Angmar is this place that is talked about all the time. The Witch King of Angmar, the ancient kingdom of Angmar, this place that is so full of depth and history and just so much that goes into it. And we are told very little about it unless you read about the Angmar Wars, unless you have read, which unfortunately, a lot of people don't really read the books too much anymore. And so that's something where I would love to see some sort of new interpretation in that area. That's like my number one go-to. So personally, I want us to stay away from this regions here. I really want us to stay away from these key areas here from the movie. I don't want to go into Mordor. I don't want to be in Rohan. And if we're going to be in Gondor, I want it to be in the southern part of Gondor. I want us to go to places maybe like Dol Amroth, or dealing with some things with the Corsairs. Pelargir is another cool place that I think would be kind of fun to explore. But maybe using like Minas Tirith or Osgiliath as like a hub area would be really, really cool. But I don't want us to go into something that is a lot more difficult. I don't want us to, or a lot more well known. I don't want us to see us partake in the Battle of Pelennor Fields. I don't want us to be at Helm's Deep. I don't want us to really go to Edoras. I want to explore areas of Middle Earth that are not as well known. If the entire game were to take place here, and we would end up in like only on the western side of the Misty Mountains, I wouldn't even complain. I really would not be that upset. But if we are going to go east of the Misty Mountains, I want us to either be so far south that we're here in this area, or I want us to be so far north that we're near places like Mirkwood or like Dale and Erebor. If they're okay, this would actually be kind of a really cool storyline. So in the Return of the King, it talks about in the appendices, there is another battle that takes place simultaneously to the Battle of the Morannon that happens here. Okay. And that is the battle, a second battle of Dale and Erebor. We actually get this entire story of an army of orcs and Easterlings marching upon Dale, and they retreat back into the Lonely Mountain. In fact, this battle is something that people are like convinced that the free people are going to lose. But then, in the midst of that battle, the ring is destroyed. Thus, the hold that Sauron has over the free people of Middle Earth is broken, and this entire army falls apart. That, to me, would be a very, very interesting storyline for us to see. Because what we're used to seeing in Lord of the Rings in any game is we're used to seeing things like the Battle of the Black Gate. We're used to seeing the Battle of Pelennor Fields. You know, those are the things that we see and we are like, this is Lord of the Rings. But as I talk about all the time in my Lord of the Rings online streams and just in general, Tolkien's world is vast. Okay? There are so many different regions. We have Eriador, Forod Waith, Rovanion, Rohan, Gondor. The world is huge. And I really want to see us in the game be able to dive into areas that are just not as well known. It's part of the reason why when I honestly start running more D&D campaigns, I'm going to just do it more in Middle Earth because there's so many areas to explore in a world that's built and is just so vast. There are endless possibilities for things that they can do. So, like, those are the cool things that I really want to see. I want to see Tolkien's vast world, and I want to see something that's not just the plot of the movies or the plot of the books rehashed in a new way. I want to see something fresh. That's what I'm hoping for. And obviously, time will tell. Once the game actually comes out, we will see. But for now, this is what we've got. Not a ton of information. I'm glad we finally have an announcement so that way we can have things to look forward to. I'm going to try and do what I can to keep people as updated as possible. So make sure you guys are subscribed so that way you can stay up to date on everything. I know this video is kind of all over the place. It's a short, brief little thing. But I do just want to make sure that we are covering as many things as possible. And that way everybody can stay as up to date. But with that, that will be the end of this one. I do want to give another huge shout out to all of my supporters on Ko-Fi. Thank you guys so much for being a monthly supporter there. If you would like to support and get early access to certain videos that come out that aren't just like breaking news videos, you can support on Ko-Fi. The link will be down in the description below. That will be the best way that you can financially support everything that we've got going on here. But with that, you are loved, you are valued, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we will see you right back here next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody.